Hey, welcome back. If you're still with us, great to have your company. 1:30 in the morning there. We know it's only 7:30 at night here, so it's easy for us. But a good game, a game of 2 penalties, Ray. And
yes.
It could go either way, couldn't it?
Quite right. I'm enjoying it. I think there's been some really good football played. But unfortunately, defenders keep tugging people back at the moment, either pushing or tugging. And there are going to be a lot of penalties conceded. Here we see this one, and it's Loom coming in on the back of Rodiuk. Yes. And just gets hold of a tug on his shirt and pulls him down. I don't even think he would have reached the ball. I think the ball was too fast for him. And this is great technique. He doesn't actually look at the ball. He looks to see where the goalkeeper's going. And that's a really first-class penalty by Salenko.
You ever played your football like that, played passes like that?
What,
well, you're not actually looking at the ball?
Well, that's where you add the disguise. That's where the disguise comes in. You look somewhere else and obviously you know exactly where the ball is. And Salenko is obviously a pretty tasty player.
Yes. Now, Dom, what about the Swedish penalty? Because Dahlin did look embarrassed when it was given, but to be honest, to me it looked like a penalty.
Yeah, well, the cross came in and he's there on the spot. You see the ball delivered in the box. And here again, it's another defender who wants to grab hold of a forward shirt. It's just as though they're frightened about getting beaten. Dahlin would be disappointed there that he didn't score. But when he picks himself up, he's a bit surprised that all of a sudden the referees give a pen. Watch him. Look at his face.
He's given up there, hasn't he? He's thinking...
First of all, he's disappointed about the miss. Now he's saying, oh, we've got a pen.
But when you watch it again, I don't see how it could be anything else.
No, that's right, because the defender, he's afraid because Dahlin's got behind him and he's grabbed round the back, the defender's grabbed him round the back of his own back. Think the referee hasn't seen it, but the referee has. And the referees are clamping down on this shirt pulling.
And you were only saying yesterday how much of it's going on, isn't it?
It is.
They seem to want to pull everybody's shirt.
Well, it's a bit silly as well, really, in the box, isn't it? I mean, the referees, they ain't silly, are they? And the referee and the linesmen also, they're getting involved. And when they say things like that, it's a penalty. You're 1-0 down.
Ray, the Russians, when you think of the players they could have had here, do you get the feeling that, I mean, they're not doing badly now, it's a much better performance than they put in against Brazil, that this could have been a major power at this tournament?
Well, we always said about the Russians, when even beforehand, they were always an excellent team, but they never really came up with the goods when it came to the crunch. No. But they obviously are missing a lot of players. You know, Andrei Kanchelskis alone would add another dimension to this team. And then you have Shalamov, as Don mentioned earlier, who I see quite a bit on the Italian scene there. He's another super player, and he's a goal scorer from midfield. So there's just 2 players that we know of offhand that would, I'm sure, would have improved this team immensely.
And you'd put them straight in, wouldn't you?
Oh, no question about it. They would have gone straight into both games. And would have caused not only Sweden problems, but would have caused the Brazilians problems as well.
Now, a couple of years ago, Sweden got to the semi-finals of the European Championships, of course. I know it was held in Sweden. Yes. Now, do you think they've gone forward or backwards since then?
No, I think they've got most of the players who played in that tournament. If you remember, they got knocked out by the Germans in the semi-final. I mean, this game's so even. I mean, they've got players like Jonas Tern and the lad who's going to Arsenal, Schwartz in midfield, and they do control things quite well. Dahlin's always on the move. He's very mobile. He gets out wide behind full-backs, and then he still gets back in the box. I mean, they've got the players there. They've just got to get the results. Somewhere along, I mean, you look at the players who have dotted around Europe, from Sweden, Brolin in Italy, players like this, they ought to do a bit better than what they are doing.
OK, thanks, fellas. Well, just time to catch up with what else has been happening in the World Cup. Some peculiar things, actually. But Phil Mepham begins his roundup with a major blow to Italy.
Italian joy at their win over Norway yesterday has been stifled by news that captain Franco Baresi will miss the rest of the tournament with a knee injury. He was injured during the game and has had surgery in New York today for a fractured cartilage, sustained during this innocuous-looking interception. It's a major blow, especially with 3 other first-choice players already on Italy's casualty list. Now, how about watching World Cup football on your honeymoon? One couple did in Orlando. She was expecting Sun, Sea and Disney. He laid on Ireland versus Mexico. Naturally, he told her.
He didn't.
He told you we're going to Florida?
Yeah. With Walt Disney and Universal.
Have you seen them yet?
No.
And finally, a tale of Norwegian temper. When Italy beat Norway, a supporter in Oslo threw his television set through the window. The police, though, have decided not to press charges, even though his flat is on the 3rd floor.
He couldn't have been watching ITV, that's for sure. Would never have done that. Must be something funny going on in that group. An Irish honeymoon couple coming to a football match and a Norwegian throwing his telly out of the window. Pause for thought, and we'll see you in a moment. Welcome back. Half-time in the Sweden-Russia match. It's 1 each, and it's much cooler here in the studio than it is in the Silverdome there in Detroit, which surprises me because 78% humidity there, Ray, undercover, which sounds unbearable, doesn't it?
Yes, that's quite right. We actually got a couple of good shots there of guys perspiring, you know, very heavily.
Yes.
And it can't do them much good. They'll be putting a load of fluid back in at half-time, and hopefully they'll feel a bit better coming out for the second half.
It's a lovely stadium. I've
Beautiful.
been there, but I can't, as you have too, but I can't understand why they haven't got the air conditioning going.
Well, perhaps it's not working. You know, these things do pack up,
Yeah.
and you just have to get on with it. And that's what these guys have got to do. And I think they're, in conditions as they're playing, they're giving us a bit of a feast.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
They're
more.
doing very well.
Don, we're talking about Darlene.
Yeah.
And he's very mobile, gets into good positions, and he nearly scored for Sweden, didn't he?
He looks a good player to me, Tony. He leads the line well.
Yeah.
The midfield players can bounce the ball off him, play it into him, they get it back. If he's getting nothing down the middle, he's prepared to go out to the flanks. We've seen him pop up on the right flank. We've seen him pop up on the left flank. That's a great turn on the edge of the box. You see, it was played into him, he turned, whacked it against the bar. That's good front play. If
Very
Everton,
unlucky.
if
Very
Everton have signed him, I think they've signed themselves a good player. Great shot, 5 inches lower, it's another goal.
This is Brolin now.
Yes, this is Ingerson. It's a tremendous run. He finally gets the ball out to Brolin, who I think has been quite impressive. First time shot. You know, that can work out as a cross as well. That's a good effort from Brolin, hitting it towards the far post, because anybody coming in